But Laura and John were amazing. You know, you wouldn't know it was their first baby. They were just amazing. They just, by the book, I would say.
Yeah.
They were. But they were textbook as well in that sense. You know, Lucy was absolutely fine.
Yes.
She wasn't showing any signs of anything. And, you know, the little ones don't do an awful lot, do they? Until they're
sleep.
Certainly in 3 months.
Who repeat.
Yes, yes.
It is that, those T-shirts that have that slogan on is very true in that first 6 months, isn't it?
Yes, they do. They are.
Yeah. And then we had we were going for regular heart checkups, and those times were quite stressful. And I remember now and again you would come up and stay because we needed your support, because we didn't know what we were going to find out at each appointment. But that only lasted probably about 6 months. The first 6 months, we were going quite regularly every couple of months, and it was quite stressful. But by the 6 month point, I think children, that's why you start weaning that age, because they start holding themselves up more and they get a bit bigger, to the point where they were like, oh, our heart's functioning okay. And we were like, oh, kind of stand down really, because Lucy's heart condition, complete AVSD, is a heart condition that's normally needs repairing. They told us, didn't they, that it would need repairing the first 3 to 6 months. So to get to that 6 month appointment and be told, might do it when she's about a year old, we all just went, phew, we can breathe a little bit. We had a few months respite, was how we felt, wasn't it? And then we got to that 12-month appointment, and they were like, right, we need to do it now. But they didn't really say that, did they? They were like, we need to do it, but it's still not that urgent.
Yes.
But we will put her on the list.
But you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, they put her on the list.
And that was so stressful.
And that was the
because
August.
Of COVID. That was so stressful.
Yeah. It was a long list, and she was very near the bottom because she wasn't symptomatic. And it was that August appointment around her first birthday was, very much right. Well, she's going on the list, blah, blah, blah. And you expected them to be in touch, within a couple of weeks or something. And a couple of weeks went by, and I think I emailed the nurses, and they were like, oh, she's on the list.
And you've got this tiny baby. And the anxiety that needs a heart operation.
Yeah.
And not heard anything from the specialist. So,
and I think
pull Laura off the ceiling.
Yeah.
And try and calm her down.
About 5
weeks.
It was
awful.
Yeah.
Awful time.
I think 5 weeks went by. It was the beginning of October. And I just was like, what is going on? Yeah. And I was sat. We'd been to the dentist.
I can imagine.
We'd been to the dentist. And I was sat in in a cafe in Newburn. Poor girl. I mean, whenever I go in now, she remembers me because she'll never forget me. Because I just sat there in floods of tears. And she's like, are you okay? And my daughter needs a heart operation and I haven't heard anything. And she's been a bit funny this morning because her breathing was a bit funny. I think she must have been coming on with a bit of a cold or something. And I just went into like a blind panic. And I rang. She said, well, is there somebody you can ring and ask? And I rang. While she looked after Lucy. She fed Lucy for me.
Oh.
She gave Lucy some crisps or something. And I rang the Freeman to find out what was happening. And it was almost like she'd been forgotten about. It was almost like,
well, I think she wasn't. Well, that was the problem. Because of COVID, I don't think you were totally in the picture.
No.
Of how things were being done. Yeah. And babies coming in that were much more poorly than Lucy, but you were so wrapped up in Lucy and needing this heart. That she was, to us, she was the only baby in the world that needed to have heart surgery. But to the hospital, that was far from the truth, because these babies come in, they can come in through the night, all last minute, and it was always the case that something came in more important, and you just then... You're not thinking about those families and what they're going through, because it's all babies and little ones and children. So it was difficult.
It's difficult to rationalise, wasn't it?
Yeah. And COVID was the ultimate problem. Why we had to wait
lists,
so long. Yeah. And then it got worse, because then, right, you're in. So bring her down. We'll do the tests, and oh my God. And then no, sorry. Not happening. Somebody's come in. Yeah, there's been an emergency. And how many times did that happen?
So between the October, when I kind of made them aware that they'd said they would do it at 12 months and she was now 14 months and we hadn't heard anything, they were like, yeah. maybe we do need to look at this. Oh yes, we'll make sure we get her in soon. And that was when the calls started and the cancellation started. From the October to a surgery in the January, we think we got cancelled about 4 times, but we also, on top of the cancellations, had delays 5 times. So they would initially delay it and say, oh, she's not going to have it on Tuesday, she'll have it on Wednesday. And then on the Tuesday night, they would then cancel it and not give us another date.